Friday, September 15th, stock market analysis, or I should say market analysis in general. I cover all the major futures also. And I always start out with the S&P 500, the stock market indexes. And today we're back on track. Yesterday, it threw me off a little bit. People, you remember, and I'm starting out with the S&P Spider, SPY, that during the last, and let's reset the scaling, couple of years, we had a bear market starting essentially the beginning of the year of 22. Bottomed out October 13th, gigantic bullish engulfing buy signal on the smack dab low of the bear market. Turns out, of course, it was a head and shoulder bottom also, which is yet to be fulfilled for its minimum objective, which is approximately historic highs. But since October, we have seen a very nice, significant bull move all the way up to a rather substantial historical resistance area in blue. And sure enough, in overbought conditions, we have a bearish sell signals on the top of the rally so far. Now, let's go into some detail. This last June, the middle, got overbought, dropped down for a week or so. Normal retracement in a bull trend. Popped up, made new highs, kept on going, got overbought again, and this time we have a much more serious bearish reversal, and that, of course, was exactly July 27th. That's an important date. Just the end of July is good enough. Went down pretty sharply and basically tested the same lows that we had for that minor correction back on June 26th. So hit support, got oversold, turned around and bounced. Now here we come. This is now talking, I'm now talking about the last approximate 3 to 4 weeks. And I'm going to include the important rally high that we had in June. I think that is a small shoulder high. And the top of the market in a resistance area is the head of the formation with a bearish sell signal smack dab on top. Of course, you don't know that at the time that it happens. You only see it being very important. Now I'm beginning to realize, if it works out correctly, that it was the start of a move that we're going to have into October and then bottom out, and a 50% approximate retracement from the October last year lows all the way to the July highs that we had just seen a couple months ago. Now, the high we saw about 2 weeks ago on September 1st, beginning of the month, is the last shoulder high of this head and shoulder top. The neckline I just put little white dots on is the neckline of the formation. It's almost flat, classic, slightly upward slanted. Head and shoulder tops usually have a little bit of an upward slant to the neckline, although they can be flat or downward slanted. Usually it's upward, not too much though. Now, look at the last 3 weeks. Up we came, and we have a minor high bearish engulfing, but it's not an sell signal on August 24th. Came down for a day. You got a low, close to the neckline. Was that the last shoulder high? I thought it was a little too early timing-wise, but the price level was just about dead perfect almost for the rally high. So maybe. Nope. It didn't break out the next day, turned around, rallied another, and then finally got up to resistance, trying to close an old gap, closed a small amount of an old gap that's still there. We're not going to forget about that in the weeks and months to come. And stopped, reversed, and had an outside down day, bearish and an outside up day. I've nicknamed these unusual situations bass backwards reversals. I don't know what to do with them. They're a little bit of a mystery to me, but I see them often enough. And I said this could be a turning point, even though it didn't close lower. I'm pretty sure on that date. Now, down it came a little, and yesterday we spiked up, rallied, closed a new high ground for approximately a week and a half, 2 weeks almost. Finally closed a gap from a week and a half ago. And that little gap was between September 5 That's September 6th, the middle of last week. And boom, we opened substantially lower this morning. In fact, today's high is below yesterday's low. That's another gap down. And what's so significant about this one is it is below the little neckline that I'm now going to put little white dots on. I think we have a small teeny weeny shoulder on August 24th. The head of the formation is an outside trading range on September 1st, and the last shoulder high was yesterday. The neckline, you're supposed to draw off the lowest lows between the shoulders and the head and the last shoulder, which I've done. Got violated a little bit and then popped back up to finish what I think is the end of the formation. The timing is about right. The shoulders are acceptable, although I thought this one would be a little bit lower yesterday, not as high as it got. But now we are below, and we are staying below so far. The lows of the last 5 days, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 5 days or so, we could easily have a new low closing price for 3 weeks. And if it was to drop off into new lows for the day before the close, which I think is definitely possible, we might have a new low, lowest low, and new low close, both for the same 3 weeks or so. A classic bearish breakout on the small pattern that again is formed all of this month, starting, well, August 24th, I'm sorry, is when it started. The minimum downside objective on this pattern is around the neckline of the bigger head and shoulder top, which it started on June 15th. And then the whopper reversal on the top, and then the last shoulder high, which is by itself a head of a small 3 week or so head and shoulder top, which is now today acting right out of a textbook if I wrote a book. Perfect. Okay, then what happens next? Well, I don't know that we're going to go straight down to the neckline in the next few days, but it couldn't, it's not out of the question. But if we get there next week, which I do expect, then jumping below, dropping below, gapping below the neckline like it just did on this other little pattern for the larger pattern would be a classic breakout for the larger pattern. So we have to watch carefully what happens when it gets down to 434-ish sometime next week. Sooner the better. You know, on the way down, we're also going to get kind of close to oversold too. So there may be a bounce off the neckline for a day or 2 or 3, and then kaboom. All of this adds up to October lows coming up, and I'm going to show you the correlation in a minute. Now I'm going to breeze through real quickly since I spent way too long on the S&P, but I think it's very important. The same thing is happening in the stock market indexes. The DIA, you've got the same dates for the shoulder high. The head of the formation is a little bit wider. I've got 2 or 3 bearish engulfings during the top formation, and everything is basically the same. Very little changes. And if you look at the QQQ, and here is that rally high on June 16th. This is this big formation. Here in the last 3 weeks is the smaller one. We're below the neckline on the small one this morning. We didn't gap below it, but it ran through it. That's good enough. And it did close a gap a few days ago with a bearish engulfing. Unfortunately, it wasn't quite overbought enough to have a red date, so I put little red dots in there instead, bringing it to my attention, but it's not a signal per se. Almost one. Anyway, it's working. And now I think we're on our way down. The neckline in the Qs is a little bit downward slanted, almost flat, not quite, and is at 352.5. Next chart. We got the Russell. Same situation. Minimum downside objective on the big pattern is a test of all-time lows in the last couple of years, plus a test of the lows of the previous year's bear market, the 2022 bear market. That is a little bit different than the others. The others produce an objective of approximately a 50% retracement. So let's look at that October low situation. I have now added to this chart that you may have been watching in the last couple of weeks. I've had it on almost every day. The green column here is it during October coming up next month. The minimum downside objective I have for this symbol, which is the spider, is 407.5. Within the circle that I have now put little white boxes around is the bullseye, literally, that I am hoping we're going to get down to, and the timing and price both. So my best guess is October 16 at 407.5. If I come within that circle and see evidence that it's trying to turn back up again, I'll scream bloody murder that the downside move from this pattern is over. So I don't have a heck of a lot of faith of being that precise to the exact day and price. But anything in the circle is going to be real good. All right, futures. We have the bearish engulfing on the E-mini today. It is an outside down day because it has longer trading hours, and the last 2 or 3 little highs we've had here in the last 3 weeks is starting to show signs of weakness. I'd love to see this close below 4,480 ASAP. The E-mini's downside objective is approximately 4,118. I want it to be in smack dab in the middle of October, but we'll find out soon enough. Next chart. NASDAQ, same formation, same commentary. Next, bonds are failing. This head and shoulder bottom is not doing what it's supposed to do. It does look like that last shoulder is getting too far to the right and too low. And now I think it's going to make new lows for the trend, which is not particularly bullish for the stock market. Next, same commentary, which has already started for the 10-year notes. They look like they're going to make a new low close today on Friday, and they've already on Wednesday made a lower low for the trend. Next chart. Crude doesn't want to quit yet. Overbought for a couple of weeks. Wow, this thing is screaming, but that makes it even more dangerous. So I'm expecting to see a bearish engulfing at any time and would go short on that kind of a signal. We'll see what happens. Don't go running after this on the upside. Classic mistake. Heating oil, same comments. Next, natural gas is very neutral, flat, waiting for something to happen. Next, gold, silver, platinum, especially lately, and copper have been very, very good to us this year. We've caught some major turns. It looks like we may not have gotten a signal yesterday, which looks like it could have been a little bit of a turn up. After all, it's back into support around where it bottomed out before with a bullish engulfing, ER buy signal, sell signal on the top of the rally, buy signal on the bottom, and the first of 2 lows, a double bottom on that date, February 28th, a whopping great sell signal at the top on February 2nd. So gold probably is going to rally a little, and I wouldn't be surprised to see 1981 again. Next, same commentary in a support area, oversold condition yesterday, and look what's happening today. That's what I said about silver yesterday. It's not, unfortunately, a buy signal, but you're coming close. There's a variety of things I like about it. So I'm looking for a rally back up, probably to 24.80, 24.8, where it was before. Big trading range sideways. Next, platinum. We got a buy signal on Tuesday. I screamed bloody murder on Tuesday. It looks very much like some of the other precious metals. Back into support, oversold, starting to turn around. Luckily, platinum did have a lower low than the previous day on September 12th. Bullish engulfing ER buy signal occurred. We had a retracement back into the range of the previous day's signal the next day, and that was September 13th. Yesterday, it started to work up and make more money. The previous day, the ER3 new long closed with a break even, no profit, no loss to speak of, probably a couple tick profit. And then yesterday it started to go, and today, yay, really strong. New high for the previous 6 days by a long shot, And we're probably on our way up, like I thought, to 967 to close a gap. Next chart. Copper. No signals lately. I'm getting a little bit neutral with this. Next chart. Soybeans. No comments. I'm going to wait until something more significant happens. We do have a bearish engulfing today, and that implication is we're going to come down into the blue. Next. Bean oil today, brand new. First day. Look, we have a bullish engulfing green ER buy signal today in soybean oil. It did get oversold. It did get into a support area, and it did turn around. Now we've got a complementary buy signal a couple of days later. I think it's going to go right back up to 64.5, maybe even test 65.5 next chart. Soybean meal, bearish, nothing to speak of, at support, kind of neutral, next chart. Corn on its way down, slowly chewing away at historical support, and I think it's about to have a crash next week, dropping below the lowest low on this continuation contract since July of last year, way over a year ago. Yep, I think it's going to drop off pretty sharply next week. Wheat has already done that kind of thing. It has already made new lows for a significant number of months, not over a year, but still, picture's just a little shorter term, that's all. And rallied to resistance, couldn't muster any strength, made new lows after that, which got it oversold a couple of days ago, Tuesday this week. And we're coming up just a little bit the last few days. I think it's going to make new lows next week. Next chart, cattle won't quit, but this becomes extremely dangerous. Looking for sell signals. Next chart, hogs, looking for nothing. Neutral, a little bearish, hit resistance, almost got overbought. Not quite, but no comment. Next, OJ. I gotta think this is trying to top out, but I have not anything great to say. Next, cocoa. Same thing. I think it's about to top out, but you might have another couple of strong days. It is overbought, and it could have a little correction. I'm still basically bullish. No sign it's a major top of any type. Next, coffee. Nice support. Bullish engulfing on Monday, and up we go. And we had another bullish engulfing yesterday. They are not ER buy signals, or they would have turned red like the low of the break. It is approximately the bottom of the support area. We just missed being oversold by a little bit here on Monday. Too bad. And then I would have gotten a double green for a double bottom. That would have been great. Next chart. I'm friendly. Sugar, overbought. Watch out. About to turn down next week. Cotton, neutral. And that it is, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry for such a long recording. You have a great weekend. Thank you very much. Stock market coming down into October. Mañana.